Any illustration you ever see of her is going to feature her holding an apple, stuck in this sin, and that's her defining characteristic. And so what we want to do is go back before the fall and say, what did God say when he first made Eve? He said, I will make a helper suitable for Adam. We translate that word helper, but the word is not simply helper. There's a whole lot more packed into the Hebrew than we understand in our modern translations.
And what is that word?
That word is ezer, E-Z-E-R, in Hebrew. And throughout the centuries, people have translated it from Hebrew to English as helper. It's tricky to translate Hebrew into English. But if we go back to the original and we say, what are the implications of this word? Because it says in Genesis 2:18, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make an ezer, or a strong helper or strong power that is suitable to him. And this word is used 16 times for God himself in the Old Testament to describe how he comes through for his people in a time of desperate need. And so it's a strong word, it's a compelling word, and there's nothing inferior or subordinate about the word. When we look at the creation account, we see Adam and Eve joined together as a strong tower, strong partners, and there's something that Eve is bringing to the mix that is going to be essential in God's vision going forward for mankind.
Jamie, why do you think people have translated over the thousands and thousands of years as helper?
I think it's because that's the English word that we have that best represents what it means, but we don't have the strength, that powerful connotation that is present in the Hebrew.
When ezer is described in context with God, has it also been defined as helper?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so
yes,
it's
it
been
has
consistent.
Been.
But
I mean, it's used for God, so it's something that's strong.
And it's in a context of saving.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
These people are in desperate need, and God, as their strong helper, is going to come in and save the day.
And rescue.
And so there's this fascinating component of something strong and beautiful happening. We talk about Eve being the solution to isolation or loneliness. Mm-hmm. To end the loneliness of the single human, I will make an ezer that is suitable, facing him, corresponding to him, and they will be both male and female.
Why have you written the book?
We wanted to make this information, something that was accessible to women in churches everywhere. Some denominations don't necessarily have a good impression of who Eve is and therefore who women are created to be. And we wanted the average person who believes the Bible to look at it for what it actually says and to live out of that truth.
Tell me about yourselves, your personal life, and what this book, the difference this book has so far made in it, or in the writing of it.
Well, through studying the word ezer and coming upon it, I had a crisis in my own life of the direction that I was going to go and using the gifts and what God had given me as a woman. So I decided to go to seminary. That was a big deal. That was a turning point. And it was along that journey of deciding to go to seminary that this book happened.
One thing that it meant for me personally was my husband is a youth minister, and I'm not a big fan of just spending all of my time in the youth department at our church. And so I started to think through it and pray through it and discovered that, in fact, there may be roles that I need to inhabit in our church that are separate from what my husband does. And in fact, what he's called to do and what he feels he needs to do is not necessarily always going to be identical to what I feel I'm called to do and what I need to be doing in the church. And so that was a big realization for me.